So Warren Haynes, what brings you to Hunter Mountain?
I told you I took a wrong turn in Manhattan, and I wound up here.
That's nice that the thruway sort of just pointed you this way, huh?
Yeah, I stuck my thumb out, and some hippies picked me up.
Good. There's a bunch of them around this weekend.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is the 8th year of the festival. Did any of us had any idea when we did this the first time for our 25th anniversary that we'd be doing this 8 years later, 7 years later?
No, I don't think so. It was... it was a one day, one afternoon, and it was like over and done with. But Warren had this idea. He was like, Gary, that was pretty good. Let's do this again.
The seed was planted. I thought it was such a good vibe, that why should we let this beautiful location and the melding of the minds go to waste?
We had so many people who came up and said, what an amazing day. Do it again. Do it. And we were like, that's not a bad idea.
Yeah.
So...
Two nights and then 3 nights and then 4 nights
and here we are.
Next year it's going to be a week, I think.
Well, there's a lot of people who would be happy if that was the case. So we've got something over like 60 artists and bands performing from Thursday night through Sunday, ending up with our headliner Steve Winwood. And what a headliner, huh?
Sunday's really going to be great, obviously in addition to Friday and Saturday as well, but it's nice to have such a great lineup for Sunday.
Well, yeah, I think Sunday's like, I've been calling it Super Sunday because, Trombone Shorty, Dawes, Derek and Susan, and Franti, of course, and Steve. And, of course, Warren's going to be out there with a couple of friends, so it's going to be insane.
I'll be watching anyway.
I was talking with one of the other air staff members at Radio Woodstock the other day about the sort of the big four of the foundation of jam bandery, and that would be the Grateful Dead, Santana, the Allman Brothers, and Traffic would be in that list because they would do things like I don't know if you know the 1973 live Traffic record On the Road, where they would do a 22-minute version of Glad Freedom Rider.
I was about 3 at that time, so I've heard that. No, yeah, it's actually when I got into them when I was about a teenager, and that John Barleycorn must die and all their really trippy stuff, and that opened up a whole new world of music to me.
Well, I had older brothers, so I got into Traffic even earlier. My brothers were playing it when I was really, really young, and so I was exposed to that stuff from the very beginning. And then, of course, when On the Road came out, that was more jammy, more trippy, but even the studio records had trippy, jammy stuff on them. There's a really long Low Spark on that record.
Yeah, which Low Spark itself, as a studio cut, was just
pretty long. Yeah,
and the first time you heard it, you just went, "Wow,
yeah.
what is this?"
It's pretty psychedelic. It's still one of my favorites. And when I played with Steve at the Jammy Awards, that's what we played, and so that was a big thrill for me. But I'm really looking forward. I hope he does it here.
Yeah. I've been watching his set list in recent months, and he's been doing a lot of that Traffic and Blind Faith stuff.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we're looking forward to that. Who else are you looking forward to seeing this weekend?
Well, I think the lineup's great. The Word being back together is cool. I think the Roots performing is going to be really cool. I've never seen Ben Folds. I'm looking forward to that. All the staples, that like Franti's here all the time, but it's always an amazing show. Derek and Susan's band, which I've seen and played with many times, is really great. We're glad to have them here. Trombone Shorty, there's so many wonderful people. It's you can't see it all, but you can try.
And Derek and Susan have themselves a nice new live record out that is just extraordinary in its presentation. They've got a huge, like a 12 or 13 piece band, right?
11 last I counted, but I'm not. I can only count so high.
Yeah, and I'm adding members because it seems like there's that much.
You're
more
hearing
sound.
things that may not be there.
But you, with the Warren Haynes band, have a terrific live record out as well, live at the Moody Theater.
Yeah, just came out, and I'm psyched about that. It's a DVD primarily. It's the way we did The Deepest End, where it's a DVD and 2 CDs. So the DVD covers the entire show, and then the 2 CDs cover almost the entire show.
Now, when you were going into the Moody Theater, did you know that was the plan to capture these shows, or do you do that for all the shows on a tour and say, well, that's the one we want?
Well, we knew that we wanted to do something later in the tour so the band would be nice and tight. So it was in November, and the tour started in April. And we picked the Moody Theater with that in mind because that's where they do Austin City Limits now. And so they're set up to film at the drop of a hat. So it made perfect sense to go in there and film. It's a really great setup, really big and spacious, and the film crew's there anyway, so it kind of makes perfect sense.
What makes a live performance, extraordinary? I was going to say good, but you're good every night. What takes it to that next level?
Sometimes it's as simple as the audience. A great audience can propel you or propel someone to that next level. Sometimes just the band, the way the stars line up, just the way everything seems to work. You usually know from the first song if it feels like a special night.
It's like a baseball player hitting 4 home runs in a game.
Yeah,
right?
There's something about it. You just have this feeling right from the beginning. But what we strive for is for our bad nights to be good, our good nights to be great, and our great nights to be off the hook.
It's funny because when you said that about the audience, I was thinking about the Jackson Browne song, Load Out Stay, where he sings about the audience. You can pull us through. Have you had nights like that where the audience just takes you where, we're here, we're playing, it's pretty good, and then the audience just kicks in?
Yeah, sometimes if you're on tour and you're not feeling great, if you got a cold or flu or whatever, or you haven't had much sleep, whatever the case may be, and you wake up thinking, wow, I don't know if, how great I'm going to be tonight, and then you walk on stage with a great audience and you forget all about that.
This year at MountainJam, we are remembering Levon Helm, who passed away about a month or so ago, and you had a pretty special connection with Levon. I was at a ramble at his house just the other night, and there's a huge photograph of you and Levon on the wall taken here at MountainJam.
Yeah, that's correct.
Where's your history go with? When did you first meet and play with Levon?
I think we met in '93 when my band opened some shows for the band. We became instant friends. Of course, I've been a fan my whole life, but meeting him for the first time was just like meeting your neighbor and going, wow, this is a really cool guy. He was so down home, down to earth, made everybody feel warm and welcome. And on top of that, to be the giant that he was in the music world, I loved him dearly. I loved his music dearly, and it was a huge loss. And the celebration here for his 70th birthday was one of my fondest memories.
And on Saturday night during your second set with Gov't Mule, the Levon Helm Band, the horns, Amy Helm are all going to come out, and you're going to pay tribute to the man in music, which just seems so appropriate.
I think so. I think it's the right thing to do, and I'm excited that everybody was available and wanted to be a part of this. And I think it's going to be awesome, the entire band being here to celebrate. And it'll be great because I think the audience is ready for that. Everybody's got to properly mourn and celebrate Levon's legacy.
And I made the point to his manager, Barbara O'Brien, recently that as long as the music is played, Levon still lives. He's still here.
Yeah, I mean, that's, with people like that have contributed so much, their spirit and their music's going to be alive for a long, long time.
And Warren, you also contributed to Toast for Freedom, one of Levon's last recordings.
I did, yeah.
Must have been a thrill, yeah.
That was really a special thing, and we did that at his place, where the ramble took place.
Yeah, that's the song that was written for the 50th anniversary of Amnesty International.
Yes, and a lot of great artists on that, and it was really a beautiful thing for a lot of reasons. One being for Levon's involvement and being one of the last mission statements for him, it's a really important issue that needs to be addressed, and I think there's a lot of wonderful artists that took part in it, so it'll help raise awareness, and I was really honored to be asked.
Something that most people don't know is that when Levon was doing his comeback about 4 or 5 years ago, he was just starting the rambles on a regular basis, and he was putting his foot in the water and trying to tour again. And we booked him at MountainJam, and about a week before the festival, he got a little cold feet, and he had done another festival, and it didn't go over. It didn't go over so well. The conditions, the sound, and Levon's a perfectionist, and he had really doubts about what festivals would be like. And Warren had to call him and got on the phone and assured him that we were going to give him the treatment he deserved and make sure that none of those problems would happen. And it was really the start of Levon. He came here, he had a great experience, and it was magical. And that really gave Levon the courage and the impetus to go ahead and start booking festivals and going on tour again.
Well, it's tough when you're doing festivals because there's no sound check. And when you're doing that with a horn section and with acoustic bass and upright bass and instruments that are really sensitive to acoustic settings, it's really difficult. And I remember the festival you're referring to, there was a lot of feedback and interruptions, and it was really hard for him to enjoy himself the way he wanted to. But as you said, I assured him that we would go the extra mile and make sure he was happy and make sure that we didn't rush him on stage until they were ready. And,
right.
Because sometimes big bands with acoustic instruments like that take a little longer to get into place. And if that's the case, then that's what you do.
Right.
Warren, back in February, you really put MountainJam on the map when you had many of the artists who are performing at MountainJam in the White House playing the East Room. Tell us a little bit about that.
MountainJam DC.
It was Trombone Shorty, right? Gary Clark Jr., Tedeschi Trucks. They were all there with you in February.
Yeah, it was amazing. We got the call early in the year saying that, you're invited, and what an overwhelming thing to be invited to and to be involved with. 3 days of hanging out, rehearsing, and then filming the show, and being in the White House and just the reverence that comes along with that. And, of course, the Allman Brothers and the Grateful Dead are both big supporters of Obama and raised a lot of money for the campaign. But hanging out and watching all the rehearsing that went down and just the camaraderie and hanging out and all the impromptu stuff was so special, this is the case a lot of times, but I felt like some of the rehearsals were better than the performance. Even though the performances were really good, some stuff went down at rehearsal that I'm really glad to have been a fly on the wall for.
Here at MountainJam, you often find your way onto the stage with other artists besides Gov't Mule. Do you look at the list of people who are booked for the show and say, yeah, that's a band I want to play with. I haven't played with those guys. I want to try playing with those guys.
No, it's the other way around. If someone asked me, because I would never ask someone to play. That in the musician world, that's kind of rude. We all grew up jamming and knowing that if someone wants you to sit in, they'll ask you. You never ask someone if you can play.
Well, then I'll rephrase the question.
Okay.
Do you look at the list and say, boy, I hope they ask me to sit in. I'd like to play with those guys.
That could happen, yeah.
So, every time I asked you, to join Gov't Mule and you've said no, I should have realized the reason?
Exactly, yeah.
Just being polite, that's all.
I think I waited a couple years. You never asked. Come on, Warren, I got my Les Paul over here.
You got your ukulele. You're ready to rock.
Terrific. Well, we appreciate you stopping by and chatting with us, and we're looking forward to another outstanding MountainJam.
My pleasure. And I'll continue that last thought and say that, most of the people we're talking about, we're friends. We're old friends, And so if somebody doesn't ask me to play, it doesn't hurt my feelings because I figure they have an agenda. They're rolling with it. If they want me to play, that's great. But I hardly ever say no because I love to play, and especially if it's in a musical setting that I like with people that I love, it's a win-win.
Well, we're looking forward to whatever transpires because we're pretty sure it's going to be great this weekend.
Me too.
Thanks, Warren.
You bet.